What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So even though I still career all of the time to keep track of stuff, that shouldn't really surprise you. I only normally make a video once a patch because things don't really change that much. There are actually some pretty underrated ones this time around though, so I want to take a look at them. But just before we start that, I'm making a weird picks that actually work video next week. This is the one where I get like attack speed Bard or full AD Sun, AD carry Ari, stuff that actually works in Diamond Plus games. I need a few more weird picks though for Season 7, so I've made a page over on QT where I'm going to be grabbing them from this time around. QT is a site we've teamed up with, which is basically like a social platform that's much easier to discuss stuff than YouTube comments. So if you leave a comment there, I can actually find it and I can sort through them with the stuff on the left. Head on over, leave a comment. If I use yours, then I'll be showing your comment on screen as well. So let me know what you want me to try. Now the first one in this video is very weird. Malzahar support. I saw like a big spike in Malzahar win rate this patch and I didn't really know why except the Rylai's changed maybe until I saw this. Rylai's is now much cheaper, right? It's a really good item on Malzahar anyway. It was actually probably like a buff considering everything, but it makes sense why it would work on support as well. Your E is a seriously easy way to proc your Spell Thief's gold as well. You put it on once and it just does the work for you. If you think about it, actually you have good objective control with your Voidlings, a silent suppression with your ultimate. Actually, it's not that bad of a kit for a support. You kind of like a Zyra or a Brand. You abuse Rylai's and the Andrew's combo, which is cheaper now as well, and it's really easy to gank for you. You just flash R, you just run at them and press R and lock them down for your jungler to follow up. Your passive is going to block any crowd control that would stop that as well. There is some bad stuff, obviously, like you're still immobile and your Malzahar, you can be ganked heavily or outpoked by someone like Zyra maybe, but actually you're pretty good versus like a Thresh or a Blitzcrank with your passive, which can block their hooks. You're also not really doing a ton in team fights damage wise. You still have your silence and crowd control, which is great, but just damage wise, you're not really going to carry that way. Build is actually Eye of the Watchers, so the upgraded Sightstone item, Rylai's, Leandri's Redemption, actually Redemption seriously, and Morello. Thunderlords has been best over there. Deathfire Touch works as well. You want to abuse your early base damage though more than anything. You max your E, your Q, then your W. So overall, it seems like a decent-ish kit actually for support. You probably spiked a bit due to Rylai's and the Andrews being cheaper, but to be clear, honestly, he's really good in lane and you flash R and stuff. He's not the best in team fights, and later into the game, he can do some work, but he's not going to hard carry or anything like that, so you need to abuse it early. Now, Yorick is another one, which is mostly a lower ranks actually. Like, it's okay in Platinum Diamond, but it's much better in Bronze to Gold. It's Triforce Bruiser Yorick, by the way. That's the only damage he really needs, and then he builds a full tank. He does a lot of damage with just Triforce. It's a bit gimmicky in places like with his split push and stuff, but essentially it's another version of Darius, which is really good right now. He's good in lane, he's hard to play against, one damage item and then tank afterwards. He does actually beat a lot of meta top laners right now. Darius he does well versus other carry laners, especially Jace actually. In Korea, Yorick spanks Jace. Your lane phase is okay, but it's really like his mid game. He's so hard to kill, but he does so much damage with his Trinity Force. Tanks are not going to be able to keep up with your sustain. You have enough burst for squishy targets as well, and a good amount of utility. Now, just like Darius, unfortunately, you can still get Kai around quite a lot and punish early if you mess up. Like after Phage, it gets much easier though. And at least in Korea, if he loses the game, it's mostly because he gets ruined early, big time, or it reaches 6 items late game where he just doesn't do as much and his ultimate is kinda useless. Build-wise, Trinity Force, Visage, Deadman's, Randuin's, at least in high elo, but a lower rank Sterex, Titanic, and Mortimer Mortius are much more common. It's more of like a damage carry build. For Keystone, Grasp is actually the most popular, but Fervor is really good. It's different, but you only need 4 autos to stack it, right? Gives him a decent chunk of extra damage, and remember, this is going to buff your Q, which is a low cooldown and heals you as well. So next one is Kog'Maw AD carry, which spiked up a lot this patch, especially at higher ranks. It looks like it was kind of because of the Blade of the Ring King and a Fervor buffs mostly. You stack Fervor decently anyway, even though AD isn't that good on you. It's okay, but not the best, and Blade of the Ring King has always been core. You don't actually have that bad matchups versus anyone at bot lane right now. It's not amazing either, but like he does beat out a lot of the lower tiered ADs, I think, with his range. A lot of your damage is going to come from the Bork and Runes combo because you're doing percentage damage on all 3 of those bolts, which is ridiculous, and they also sometimes get Trinity Force first for more of a spike. The good part is that actually makes them a bit better earlier into the game, which we want. Plus, it's actually something they build later, which is a bit weirder, which we'll get into in a second. Now, obviously, your Kog'Maw, you're able to melt through tanks, especially when it gets Rage Bait. You have your W, Bork, and your Runes as well. It's just disgusting damage. The fact that there are a lot of defensive supports around make him better by just keeping him alive, like Janna and Sona. It's actually why Draven is better now than he used to be honest, because they can keep him alive when he goes ham. The bad side of Kog'Maw is always that you're immobile and you have no raw ability damage, which is normally what does damage early into the game, so you're not going to be doing that much in early fights. You also 100% need items to do anything in the game, otherwise you're going to be useless, so you need to farm well and ideally not get spanked in that lane phase. Build wise, as we said, Trinity, Blade of the Rune King, and Runes. Bork and Runes are always going to be your core. Then you can get Trinity, Rage Blade, also actually Essence Reaver sometimes. It's a bit weird, but the idea with Essence Reaver is you have the cooldown reduction to keep your W up more, which kind of makes sense actually. The next one is Jack's jungle. So he goes up and down a lot over patches and stuff, but he is steadily getting better and better patch to patch. They play it quite aggressively, which is no real surprise because it's Korea. Even though you're a good farm jungler, like you have your Q to jump in, your E to stun, so you actually have good ganks. He is one of the best late game junglers in Korea at the moment though, so that is really important. He abuses a lot of good items, has a lot of good synergy, and is naturally very good late game. Your farming is not quite on the like Shyvana level of things, but you're actually pretty close, and he gets a lot of gold from the new jungle, which he kind of needs because he is a carry jungler. You have a lot of damage and built-in synergy as well, like Blood Razor attack speed for your ultimate passive and Trinity attack speed for that percentage damage plus the passive. You have your Sheen burst, your phase to stick on targets, you have your Gunblade, which is more burst and healing as well. One of the most underrated things about Jax is actually his tower taking ability as a jungler. It means basically once you gank, you can sit there and pound away at the tower, and it's really easy to get a lot of towers and make ganks worth more actually. Like you're going to go in, you get the kills anyway, but then you take towers afterwards. You can actually solo dragons as well, which is super easy on Jax. Is a good thing to have for your team, but you are low health, and if you don't have a tank top, you're going to struggle a little bit. You really need items to take off in the game, so it's not the best like mid after the lane phase, but once you actually get them, you can hard carry the game, to be honest. So build wise is Blood Razor, Trinity, and Gunblade pretty much all the time, and then mostly Randuins because you can duel the enemy top laner or AD carry, and Guardian Angel to finish it. Fervor is really good with how quick you can stack it, but Thunderlord actually has a better win rate and is more popular. It's way more burst, especially when Trinity and Gunblade is completed. You can almost one-shot people. Courage of the Colossus is something that I've been trying a lot actually. It's also really good if you have a carry top laner and you need to dive in and engage more because it gives you that shield. Nocturne Jungle is slightly less underrated than the others here, I guess, but Silver to Platinum, he's especially really good. One of the other reasons I want to talk about him is because over here, most people play him with Fervor, Blood Razor, Blade of the Ruined King, basically a lot like a Shyvana, right? But Koreans are way more ham, as you'd probably guess. He is one pick that can be really good, but actually scales well into the game as well. That's why I think he's so underrated, because he can actually carry. Part of it is your insane burst with the build that they use. At least you can start to carry with just Warrior 2, plus your Spell Shield, which dodges a lot of damage or crowd control. Your clear speed is really good, and so you have good gold income if you can't gank, but you have a free gank every 2 minutes with your ultimate, which kind of forces you to have an impact. You have good-ish early to mid game if you can catch people alone. It works similar to Rengar actually. Like with your ultimate, with Rengar, you would use it and you'd run around and try and find someone alone. Nocturne, pretty much the same thing. You're going to find someone alone and use your ult to get them. You also have a really good late game with your burst, and you're kind of tanky when you finish your build as well, but ideally you don't really want to dive in first in team fights. You're pretty squishy and you're easily going to get blown up. In Korea, this isn't as big of a problem because they play a lot of tanks top lane, more than we do over here. Your early ganks pre-6 are not the best. They're okay, but your fear can be easily broken if they flash away, unless you actually flash first. So if you think someone is going to flash away from the fear tether, just flash first and they can't actually break the tether. Build-wise, Warrior, Ghostblade every single game pretty much, then Hydra or Moira Mortius or Dustblade mostly, so full AD damage. Thunderlords is the most popular by far. Cooldown reduction boots by the way as well for more ultimate. Surge and Fervor are both good as well, but Thunderlords is more burst with this build. Aurelion Sol is a weird champion, but he has 53% win rate so far in Plat Plus, which kind of places him in about top 10 overall of every single champion. I don't know if you've noticed, but in Season 7 it has been a lot about screwing the bot lane, like roaming down a ton from mid and the jungle and stuff, and nobody really does that better than Aurelion, let's be honest. He's really good at camping other lanes, and also the Rylai's nerf was actually probably a buff for him, I think. He wants to hit that mid-game spike earlier and get the slow utility rather than the extra damage. So as we said, he is a roaming god, right, which is definitely the best part about him right now, which is why he's so underrated in Korea. He can impact the entire map and win it basically on his own. Matchups don't really matter either, to be honest, which is good because the meta doesn't matter mid lane. He's not playing 1v1 mid anyway. The only problem you're going to have is Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is notoriously very good against Aurelion because you can cancel his orbs if you stun card him, but also because you can roam. If he like roams down and appears another lane, you can just follow him. With most mages being a little bit weaker now, it gives him even more control and pushing power. There's not really many that can punish his roaming at all, or his lane phase. If you don't roam though, you're not really going to do much in the game, honestly. Like, it's not exactly like you're going to carry in other ways. It's kind of awkward to play as well, and for your team to really know what to do with him. He might not be the best pick at lower ranks, to be honest. Build-wise, it's GLP and Rylai's pretty much every single game, but the most common third item is Banshee's Veil at the moment. It blocks crowd control, and you can kite easier as well. One of Aurelion's biggest problems is if he gets locked down by crowd control, so it kind of makes sense, right? Then our Leandry's, Zhonya's, Void Staff are also really good. Surge is most common to kite people, again, basically like a gigantic zone tool, remember. Rather than burst, you're not supposed to carry with damage, really. You're just supposed to keep your team safe. Mordekaiser is for top, jungle, and mid lane. All three are actually pretty good right now. So in Korea, they rush a Gunblade, and that is making a big difference actually win rate wise. A lot of people used to go Proto Belt Rylai's, but Gunblade Gunblade is way more burst. You have the active and healing as well, which is nuts with your W healing. Your jungle clear is decent if you go into the jungle with him because your AoE kit and healing actually, but lane is not that bad either. Your build probably got buffed in my opinion. Gunblade is super strong anyway, then Rylai's is cheaper, Liandry's afterwards as well. It means you can get that combo quicker and kind of like hit a 3-item mid-game spike. There are people who actually legit jungle this in high diamond, which is so strange, but they also seem to build whatever they want. Your dragon control is amazing. Remember that Ghost is like a free tower or teamfight win if you actually use it. Just like Aurelion actually, like it's a bit weird to get used to. It's a lot like Darius where he gets kited all the time as well in teamfights, which is not cool. Rylai's is going to help a little bit with that, but he's not really that good late game either. A lot like Darius. He's not bad, but it's much easier to play early to mid. That is for sure. Build-wise, a lot of things actually work. As I said, they kind of build whatever they want. Gunblade's, Rylai's, and Liandry's is the best at the moment over there with Death by Touch. Stormrage's Surge as a keystone is not that bad either. Some people even get a Trinity Force with some machine damage and the Phage kiting and stuff like that. And Zonya's Abyssal works really well as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed a look at some of the more underrated picks over in Korea at the moment and how to play them. Remember to go over to QT and let me know some things to try for my weird pick series. Thank you for watching, but for now, let's go to the robots.